The Lord be with you. Gospel of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ according to Luke.
Glory to you, Lord Christ.
Now it happened that as he was praying alone, the disciples were with him, and he asked them, who do the crowds say that I am? And they answered, John the Baptist, but others say Elijah, and others that one of the prophets of old has risen. Then he said to them, but who do you say that I am? And Peter answered, the Christ of God. And he strictly charged them and commanded them to tell no one, saying, the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected by the elders and the chief priests and the scribes, and be killed, and on the third day be raised. And he said to all, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. For whoever would save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will save it. The gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Christ.
Folks, we are going to finish up our series, not today, but in the next few Sundays, on our Gear Up, Armor of God, and then prep for another series, like I said, the 7 churches. So I think this is going to be exciting, which the 7 churches will have some interactive material.
Thank you.
You bet. Thanks. Give you some homework, basically, so it'll be fun. So the other day, as we're getting the Jeep all torn down and naked and stuff, taking the top by the doors off and everything, on one of our little excursions, I was thinking, well, it's probably good if instead of just going out in my slip-on shoes, because, as I get older, I find those are awesome, slip them on, slip them off. You don't have to worry about bending down, tying, and all that stuff. I said, well, I'll be out in the woods, in the mountains. I better take the hiking boots along too. So I stuck them in there. Now, thank God I didn't need them, but I mean, it's something that I got to thinking. I certainly don't want to be moving through the woods or pushing something with slip-ons. Slip right off, and then you're barefoot. It's not good. Back when I was a young sergeant in the Army, we had to do a leadership course called PLDC. Which is Primary Leadership Development Course. Give you the acronym. I know people hate that. And it was 30 days. You went and you learned all the leadership skills. And on a particular day, we were gonna hike out to the training site, which was for the land navigation portion. And I remember that morning I put on what was called my jump boots. Now I know that doesn't mean anything, but they were the boots that were fashioned after the airborne guys. They were fancy. What you would do is when you would shine them up, they had this little piece of leather over the toe, and you would shine it up to where it looked like glass. It looked good. And that's why all of us brought them, because we wanted to look as fancy as we could on this course. It's a big mistake on my part. This particular pair, I did not pay attention. I mean, I had paid attention to the size, but they ran a little large. So I had bought my size, but they were a little large. So as we're marching out, we've got our pack on, we're heading up this hill up to the woods. And I just remember having the most difficult time of it. Because my boots were a little bit bigger than normal, I was flopping the whole way up. Now, we're going at a quick pace, too, because Army guys, we like to move. That's, by golly, you have to train, though. You have to move. So here I am flopping up this hill. I mean, that's how it was. All you could hear was my boots flop, 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 flop. I was like, now, maybe it was just me, pulled in on this, like, because it was me flopping. But I would have swore I was the loudest thing going up that road. I was miserable. I mean, my legs were hurting. I would have to speed up to kind of do a slight little jog to catch up. It was not a fun experience. Not only that, I got up there, started getting a blister. Just moving around that day was just miserable. I was like, what is going on? And I'm like, you know what? I have my other pair of boots back at the barracks. These are just going on display. I'll just make them shiny and pretty, and they'll just sit there. Whenever the sergeants walk in the morning, I'm like, all right, he's squared away, nice boots, you know. So I mean, that's what it'll be. It'll just be my picture, my display boots. And sure enough, I pulled one of my old pair of boots out, which was all worn in. I mean, the leather was, all cracked where it was supposed to be and comfy. And since that day, I've never made the mistake of I made sure all my boots ever, the rest of my career, fit. And I would even go down a size sometimes and put them on and walk around and say, okay, how's that going to work? Just taking the fact that, leather will expand a little bit. So it worked. It was definitely it was embarrassing. It was miserable for a time, but I learned a lesson about not just footwear, but how important the dogs are, right? The thing we call feet are in life. They really are important. So shoes in general, right? We need to wear them. It's a good idea. We're not 6 years old, summertime, out running around the neighborhood. And believe me, that's how we rolled back in the day. It was barefoot everywhere. Got a little difficult at times, I would admit. I mean, when you wanted to cross a parking lot or a street, yeah, it was a challenge. But it became a challenge amongst all the kids who can make it across the street the quickest, going to the swimming pool, same thing. Walking down the alleyway with the rocks, you learned how to do it as a kid. Who cared? You were 6 years old, 7, 8. It was summertime. You were just enjoying life. But as we grow older, as you know, these are important. Very important. What we wear. When we're talking, the older you get, the more comfort you put into it. Insoles. I would have never thought about insoles when I was in my 20s and 30s. No, these things, they got cushions and gel. They got all sorts of things in shoes now. That are just, wow. And as we know, as adults, one of the things, shoes protect the feet. Now, if any of you have had kids at any stage of life, in their early years, everybody has experienced walking through the house at night barefoot to turn off the light or something. And what happens? You step on that deadliest of toys, the Lego. It could be one Lego. Thank God you don't have to cross a whole floor of Legos. But it is true. That's still a joke today. Walk across the Legos and you're yelling all sorts of words that you don't want to cheat your kids. But it's what happened. Shoes are, so that's why we have slippers, right? We have some type of shoe even when we're at home just lounging around the house. So protection of the feet in general. And of course, as because we're looking at the soldier side, when you're in battle, you're not going to run across the battlefield without shoes. It's dumb. There's pointy things out there, sharp things. There's stickers. Every sticker known to man is on that ground during a battle. I don't know how it happens. It's just there. Every burr, everything. Okay, it's just, that's how it is. It could be snowing out and the dirt's going to be 120 degrees. I don't know how it happens. It's just that way. Another thing our footwear does, it gives sure footing. It really does. If you're confident that you got good shoes on and you're confident, you don't even think about it. You're moving. If you go out hiking or on a trail that's sandy, but you have good shoes on, don't worry about it. You're watching everybody else slip and slide off the side of it. On a snowy day, you got nice boots on. Yeah, I couldn't make it across this parking lot as you watch, some guy go down hard, for wearing, loafers on the ice. Sure footing. And of course, standing firm. Now it's more of the, Army side. But standing firm is important. Because sometimes, and this a good application for us. Have you been out here on some of these windy days and it's blowing? I've watched little old ladies get blown. Wow. Anchor them down, but you got sure footing. You can put your head into it and kind of your shoes they're gripping. We had a tug of war organization day once. We all got out there. I think we had the bigger team really. We start pulling. Didn't know the other guys had cleats on. They had cleats. So here we are kind of starting to slip on the grass, digging in, I was the anchor guy just trying to put every weight in back. They had cleats. They had it easily. So, you can see the importance of footwear. And you don't think about it. It's something that's just, okay, put my shoes on. But you don't think about it until something goes awry, like my floppy boots or the wind or something to where my shoes are, and that's all you think about. It really is. Your whole experience with those shoes on for the rest of the day. I mean, I've heard ladies talk about heels, wearing heels to an occasion where they shouldn't have. That's all they think about. It's because they've got to get around on the heels, through the grass, or through for the wedding party, up the trail to where the wedding's being held. Wow, what a big concept. Shoes. Part of the armor, it specifically mentions shoes. It actually says stand firm. Every time it's stand firm, stand firm. Okay, stand firm. Putting on the shoes of the gospel, of the preparation of the gospel of peace. And we're going to break that down in a second here. So as we've been talking about shoes, on the combat boot side, they had some really nice ones with mesh, so it was real easy to breathe and real easy to move, but the treads always were sure. They were always sure until you wore them out so much. When you started slipping, you were like, time to buy a new pair of $100 boots, right? But they were always comfortable. Of course, as we're talking with the Roman soldiers, they didn't have the snazzy boots that we had. Now they had kind of fancy sandals wrapped up in leather and stuff, and I believe it even went up the ankle a little bit for ankle support. But one of the things they did do is they would put nails, kind of tacks it. So it's like cleats, so that their footing would be sure in battle. It was just at the time. I mean, I don't think anybody could have engineered boots like we have with all the special plastics and chemicals or rubbers and stuff. But it did its part. The soldier, when he had his shoes on and they were comfortable, he could walk long distances, he could fight, he could stand his ground. He was ready to go. I mean, it didn't matter if he had all the armor in the world on. If he couldn't move, he was useless. That's what is so important. So what does it mean? Having put on the readiness given by the gospel of peace, having put on the readiness, the shoes, put on the readiness of the gospel of peace. John 14:27, 27, I should say. I think this is pretty cool. This little verse here ties it very well. John 14:27 states, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid." So the gospel of peace, can you kind of see where that's going? The gospel of peace. When I was flopping up that hill, I was not at peace. I was not confident in my abilities. I was not confident in anything I was going. I was worried. I was truly worried. The readiness given by the gospel of peace. I put down, with God's strength, we can brave in sharing our faith with others. Jesus' death. Jesus already defeated death. When we think about this concept of peace, if we were to think spiritually about these shoes, if we're walking around life always worried about things, always worried about like our spiritual well-being or things that are going on in the world, we are, in a sense, ineffective. But when we understand the peace that the gospel brings to us, that's where this concept of putting on the shoes of faith are. When we understand the gospel, oh, I'm saved. Oh, my sins are forgiven. Oh, I don't need to worry about that because God's got my back. God's watching after me. He's guiding me. He's with me. He loves me. That's the concept of the shoes. So you got your shoes on, you're confident in everything that God's done with you through the gospel. You can go forth and face the world. That's the whole key. You can go forth because you're not worried about, in a sense, your spiritual feet. You're not worried about the basics. You can stand firm. You don't step on Legos. You can keep moving. That's what we're talking about here with it. This inside knowing what the gospel is. And everybody's at different stages in their life. I've met many Christians. I was kind of this way when I first became a Christian. I mean, Christians are always worried about, I think I sinned yesterday, or I don't know if God really loves me. I mean, I did this bad thing, and is God going to accept me? And they're just kind of wallowing in their own little world of, what's going on with me? But they're not out doing the mission. They're not out reaching out. They're worried about their feet hurting. Where they stand in the eyes of God. I think that's powerful. And you really can tell. Like I said, when you wake up and you have no problem with your shoes, you just put them on and go. You don't even think about it. I just roll off, slide my feet in there, my slip-ons, and go about doing business. Now, I might notice on a walk, I was like, man, I shouldn't have taken these shoes because they're slipping around a little bit. But I mean, for the most part, I'm out doing things, not worrying about that. So, folks, daily, well, hopefully it just becomes natural. You're just automatic. Actually, pray for confidence in the gospel. And that leads, of course, obviously, the confidence in what the gospel has done for you. Like I said, it helps you continue the mission. You go out and you lead others to Christ, or you witness to each other, or you help each other. You, in a sense, act like Christ to others and take Christ to others. It's simple. And you can kind of see why this is such an important issue. Like I said, in the Army, they really are about this feet thing, big time. I mean, you actually sit down sometimes and the medic comes and looks at your feet. Imagine that. Some guy takes off his boot and some other guy comes. You've been walking, sweat. Oh, yeah. Medics, thank the Lord for that. Bless them. Watching after your feet. So I think that's a cool understanding. As we start to roll all the armor up and kind of see the different elements of it, you kind of see how a lot of it's pointing to your inner spiritual relationship with God and your focus with God is knowing all these realities of God in your life. Now we're going to pick up, last two are the sword. Now I did send a flyer last time I gave you homework. We might touch on the sword briefly, sword of spirit, which is the word of God. And then of course we have the last part of the shield of faith, which is kind of cool because it's unique, very unique. They all are. So folks, application today is when you do sit down and do your devotions, I mean, there's many ways you could do it. You can thank God for your salvation. You can thank God for the gospel. The other application is just know that the confidence you get, or ask God for confidence. Lord, help me. Help me to be confident daily in what I know about you and how you saved and worked in my life. That's probably the best way to look at it. And then, of course, the ultimate of application, which we won't stop preaching on for a while, is going forth. Great Commission. If you got your boots on, nothing's going to stop you. Right? Oh, great. Now I got my boots on. Nothing's going to stop me. Not even my own self. So, all right, folks. Amen. Keep you in prayer this week. It's good to be here. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below.